Let's list the NBA contracts to have featured a no-trade clause in chronological order. 1. David Robinson, San Antonio Spurs, 1987 to 1994. 2. John Stockton, Utah Jazz, 1996 to 1998. 3. Kobe Bryant, Los Angeles Lakers, 2004 to 2013. 4. Dirk Nowitzki, Dallas Mavericks, 2010 to 2016. 5. Kevin Garnett, Boston Celtics and Minnesota Timberwolves, 2012 to 2015. 6. Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat, 2014 to 2015. 7. Carmelo Anthony, New York Knicks, 2014 to 2017. 8. Tim Duncan, San Antonio Spurs, 2015. 9. LeBron James, Cleveland Cavaliers, 2016 to 2017. 10. Bradley Beal, Washington Wizards and Phoenix Suns, 2022 to 2027. LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony were the last holders of the no-trade clause, and they both ended in 2017. It took 5 years before we saw the latest and only active new no-trade clause, and that's Bradley Beal from last summer, with Bradley Beal demanding a trade and choosing the team he wanted to go to, and even having to agree on what the Wizards would get back. Few teams could trade for Beal, even if they wanted to, and the Wizards' choice in what kind of return they'd get in return for Beal. Beal's no-trade clause is also still retained and was transferred to the Phoenix Suns this summer, but now we find ourselves in another similar situation with Damian Lillard demanding a trade out of Portland, and he likely regrets not signing with the no-trade clause like Beal did, considering even after all those years of loyalty, they don't want to trade him to his preferred destination, the Miami Heat. While they might be upset and regret this in hindsight, the no-trade clause is much more rare than you would think. Outside of 3-time All-Star Bradley Beal, all 9 other NBA players to have had a no-trade clause in their contract were all minimum 10-time All-Stars. Even most of these all-time great players only had the no-trade clause in only one of their contracts during their long careers. As in all professional sports, the NBA has a select group of players that are deemed untouchable in trade negotiations. And while history has shown that even some of the game's biggest stars can be traded, there are certain players who cannot be moved without their approval, and that is the NBA no-trade clause. In the summer of 2022, Bradley Beal negotiated the no-trade clause into his 5-year contract. If the Wizards were to trade the 3-time All-Star, his no-trade clause is something the franchise would have to navigate around, as we saw this summer. Within a single summer, the Wizards already saw firsthand the consequences of accepting a no-trade clause. So, what kind of power does a no-trade clause in the NBA have? If a player has a no-trade clause in his contract, he has the right to veto any trade in which he is involved. As per the NBA's collective bargaining agreement (CBA), which was agreed upon in 2017 and runs through the 2022-2023 season, a player must meet specific criteria in order to receive a no-trade clause in his contract. The player must have 8 or more years of service in NBA and has to have rendered 4 or more years of service for the team entering into such contract, may contain a prohibition or limitation of such team's right to trade such contract to another NBA team. Specific to Beal, his no-trade clause came in a contract extension he signed following his 9th NBA season in Washington. Beal is the only active player with the true no-trade clause. Criteria have changed over time, but Beal is one of just 10 players in NBA history to ever have a true no-trade clause. Over 5,000 players have signed a contract in NBA history, but less than 0.01% of that group has had a no-trade clause. In light of how badly the Wizards' return for Beal was, it seems unlikely we'll see another no-trade clause for a long time, no matter how loyal a star is. But let me know in the comments if you think there will be another NBA contract with a no-trade clause again, and who do you think will have one in the future out of current players. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out one of my other videos on the screen.